Each one of my
When I was young, I studied U.S. geography. My teacher said, "Would you stand in this page for me?" My knees began to knock, and my words came out wrong. And suddenly I burst out with a silly little song. Alabama and Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, and more, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, then Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, 35 to go, Kansas and Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, and good old Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, and Montana. Nebraska's number 27, number 20 is Nevada. Next, New Hampshire and New York, and we're down to New Mexico, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, now let's see, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, then there's Utah, Vermont, almost through Virginia, then there's Washington and West Virginia too. Could Wisconsin be the last one? Is it really not? Wyoming is the last they did, not 50 states that rhyme. When I was finally finished, my teacher said, "Hooray, and if you want to get an A, with double time." Alabama and Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, North Delaware, Florida, Georgia, and Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, so 35 to go. Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, and Minnesota, Missouri, and Montana. Nebraska's number 10, number 20 is Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, and Washington, and West Virginia. Could Wisconsin be the last one? Is it 49? No, I don't think it's the last one. Mississippi State that line.
I didn't realize this was an intelligence test, so I'm singing, you know? I'm glad they were doing it. I certainly couldn't. Now we've got a few remarks. Roger wanted a few seconds here, maybe minutes to make a few remarks.
You said an hour.
I lied.
Am I the house for this family or something? I mean, I have to follow that. That's amazing. You hear the applause? Unbelievable. Well, when I had talked to Wilbur and Eileen about a year ago, I just never realized that this type of thing was going to happen. I mean, this is tremendous to see all you people here. And I realized this morning that people are coming from the four corners of the United States. We have from Hawaii, and we got Izzy Doug coming from California, and Drew, and then we have from Alaska, and the East Coast, and Czechoslovakia. That's amazing. I mean, this group truly is a family. It's like our beloved President's wife said, this is a village. And it's great to be part of this village, especially looking back at all the time we spent lately with the aunts and uncles. To me, it's amazing. But then I got to realize that everything is always so great with this family. There's been a few problems I really think we probably should talk about. You know, now's the time to get these things out. There's a few skeletons in the family, and you know, instead of talking about it behind everyone's back, let's just bring it out. First one I can think of is Dean. I mean, Dean and I have always been very, very competitive. He used to spend a lot of time down here. We played tennis, play golf, and even today, out playing golf. You know, I mean, we're so close, but every time he hits a shot, he looks up. I don't know what he's looking at. You know, I look up to see what's up there. He needs help, and he knows where to get it. That's not right. That's almost cheating. that big, right in the face of the ball. If I hit the ball, it went right in the hole. He never even told me about it. Now, is that fair? Isn't that a skeleton in the closet? Is that true? Yes, it's true. But really, seriously, this has been a tremendous family. And I think all of the kids, everyone has been so thankful to be part of the Schield family. And we always can look now to Wilfred and Viola, the remaining parts of the family, and with such love and respect. And I'm very thankful to be part of it.
Waldo wanted to say a few words about the trip that he and Dad took.
One thing my father and I have in common among many things is we love road trips. We like to get in cars and drive all over the place. We did a field trip today. I'd like to take you on one that I did 2 years ago. It's in your book. It's referred to as Sioux County, New Northern, Iowa. And this is where the family lived from 1898 to 1919. And I have Phyllis in her book, Thank for this inspirational bit. Some of you may know this. Marty in the middle is about the Schield family. And characters, names, and so forth. But anyway, Dad and I took a one-day trip out to see the old homestead 2 years ago. It's much like the trip today. Looked a lot the same and so forth. But we got in the sheds, the barn, and so forth. It was a great time. But one of the best things we did, we ran into a person who was 6 years older than Dad. And his best friends out there are neighbors. Were Ray, Russell, and Vern. And he started talking about the Schield family. First thing he said was about Ray and his girlfriend. Now, I don't want to pass on any stories here, but they were very serious. Now, this is way before Washington, before Chicago and all this. But the parents, Fred and, I call her Kim. Oh, sorry about that. They had to break this up because of religion. Here we go, the Catholic Protestant thing, right? The Schield family. No. It's Church of God versus Methodist. I mean, you go 5 miles out from the old homestead there's only 2 churches, and they're right across the street from each other. And the family had to break up this relationship because of the wrong religion there. But then he started talking about the girls, how they worked so hard, how they had so many chores to do, and how they were so good at music and so forth. And then he sat there and said, they were so pretty. And he got this grin on his face and quit talking. And I knew exactly what had happened. This man, who was 92 years old at the time, had been in love with one of my aunts. Now, Viola, you were only about 2 years old, so it wasn't for you. But Merle, Laura, one of those. And here he sat in this living room, 70-some years later, with this grin on his face about the Schield girls and how pretty they are. And we all know in this room how that grin can come over a guy real fast. And it keeps on coming over. Oh, you love those girls. His wife, 2 years younger, one's in the other room, didn't know what he was talking about. In any case, then he started talking about the guys. Now, Wilbur is too young and innocent to know any of this, and he wasn't talking about Wilbur. But he was talking about Ray, and Vern, and Russell. All the games they used to play. The school games, riding, racing with the horses, and so forth. But he got into the game that they played the most fun they had, was after a wedding. What do you do to people back in the 3rd century? A chivalry. And didn't say which of those three older brothers did it, or if all of them did it. But this poor young married couple, on what night of their wedding, ended up with their entire front porch being burned down, and almost the entire house, because they had set a fire to try and get them to come out of the house and leave for a while. Now, I look at Bugs, Roger, Johnny, and some of these younger persons that I thought they were the first and only ones of a kind. I realize we all have it in our blood.
Thank you, Merle. Round of applause. I want to talk a minute about two of the other upline relatives that I learned a bit about doing research for this sort of thing. First one that comes to mind is Laura. Laura in two ways. I talked about Laura with respect to music, but I thought of Laura. Here was a person that was the first one in the family to complete high school. Went off and got her teaching degree and was teaching high school. Now, I'm surprised she didn't quit, because who was the person that she had in her class? Actually, two people. Russell and... You weren't in her class ever?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You like being in Laura's class? Now, Laura is just a few years older than Russell, and Russell and Laura are not going to take any directions from the teacher if it's their sister. So they give her a hard time. They come home, Laura comes home, talks to Mother talks to Russell and Wilbur, and straightens things out. So anyway, Laura's a high school teacher. She's teaching high school for a few years, and then she decides she wants to learn something more. I don't know what went on between she and her folks at that point in time, but she said, I want to go away to college. Here's the second strand that I want to pick up on. In the booklet, there's a picture of a little church, Mount Joy Church, out near Hayward, in Iowa. Church of God was a different branch from the Anderson branch, but it was very similar. Laura picked a college that was church-related. She was the first to go to Anderson College in Anderson, Indiana. I want to follow up on this in two ways. Laura she took most of the rest of the family members with her off the farm into college in some way, shape, or form. First, Vern went. Now, did Vern go there to study mechanical engineering? Vern worked on what was known as a degree in theology. Another person with a mind that wants to understand just like Laura. Russell went there also, and then along came Wilbur. Okay? So we have three different people that went there. Bonnie, did you go to Anderson in any way? Just a course, Anderson. But what it did was to introduce each of the kids to the life of the mind, thinking about things Laura commented. She really enjoyed studying Old Testament and seeing how things came together. And I think that really made a difference in all of our lives now and then. And I'm really grateful for Laura to come off the farm, go into high school, and then go on to college and bring all these other people with her. I think that's real tribute. The second thing is the church connection. The church was central to this family in so many ways. It's hard to understand this family without it. I mean, you look at this little country church, just a few people and so forth, and you wonder, well, what could come out of that church? And yet, if you go to Anderson College, and I really invite you to go there, take a look and see some of the things. In Morrison Hall, for example, over the archway are inscribed Fred and Emma Schield, and a list of all the children there at Anderson College. We have, there's some things in the booklet here that involve, we have a pew dedicated to Fred and Emma Schield, Ray, Myrtle, Laura, Ray, Myrtle, Laura, Fern, Russell, Wilbur, and Viola, some other things. The church connection is very important to this family, that and the tie with the education. That's two things I want to pay a tribute to Laura for, because it's really made a difference in my life. Thank you. Little music, not from Muggs' kids. Come on up here on the stage.
Can we get Wilbur and Viola to sing with us for a little bit?
Hey, you're in charge.
prepare a song for Mother's Day. So we all got together at Tom's place.
It was Bonnie's house Sunday afternoon.
Anyway,
At church. It was not.
we got to run everything on this one. Anyway, we all got together and just started humming and playing instruments and singing, and we came up with a little song. And at this point, Mom, you've got to leave the room because we can't sing this and look at you. So we'll try. We'll try. Years have come and gone since she's held me in her arms, sang her lullaby without words, rocked a bye to sleep, pray the Lord my soul to keep, sweetest words this child has ever. First day of school, she sent me on my way. Tears in her eyes I could not see. I turned around to wait. She's trying to be brave, knowing that I'd never be the same. Well, here I am today, so many miles away, but the strength upon my heart pulled me home. Now I understand what mother's love demands, and I thank you, God above, for mother's love. Sacrifices made, along with lemonade, kisses on our little aches and pains, care for all the same, with love that still remains. Giving was a way of life for her. Well, here I am today, so many miles away, but her strings upon my heart pull me home. Now I understand what mother love demands, and I thank you, God above, for mother's love. Wasn't very long till those childhood days had passed. On the wings of time, those days have flown. With children of our own, we realize at last, Mother, you're what made our house a home. Well, here I am today, so many miles away, and the strength upon my heart pulled me home. Now I understand what mother love demands, and I thank you, God above, for mother's love. Well, here I am today,
when we were little, Vern gave us a little ukulele, and Wilbur and Vern were great encouragers of singing and great encouragers to love the Lord. And we love you very much, and we just thank you. We thank you for this gathering, but most of all, we thank you for your example. So we want to say, may you always walk in sunshine.
In the death of Vern Schield, the world has lost one of its most colorful and creative citizens. Vern Schield was a genius. He preferred to call himself a tinkerer. He was a master tinkerer. Or I suppose on some occasions to his family and friends, in listening to his latest idea or looking at his most recent gadget, he may have seen the mad tinkerer. Vern had a lifelong passion for understanding how everything works, from nature to physics to mathematics. He wanted to know the laws and principles of theories and processes. Then he would ask, if it works that way here, what would happen if you applied the same principles over there? That's what creative genius is all about. From the first bright line to the pendulum, his latest addition to the museum, his mind was searching and probing, mixing and matching, trying out new combinations of ideas and concepts. His feet had begun to shuffle, but Vern's mind, the mind of the genius, was relentless. Vern was a genius who learned to keep his life in balance. Life can be troublesome and tragic for a genius, but life was good for Vern. Life was good because Vern knew who he was. And Vern knew who he was because he always remembered where he was from. Where he was from in northwest Iowa, Bremer County, where he lived most of his life. I'm thinking now that it was not just nostalgia that led Vern to repeat time and time again the stories of his beginnings, the tough times he and Margie faced when they were first married, reciting verse upon verse of the hard luck, hard time songs he and Wilbur sang on their radio show. This was Vern's way of keeping his balance, for there was this idea, his invention that had led in such a dazzling, spectacular way to a prospering business and then to an international enterprise. From farm and quarry in Iowa to almost every nook and cranny in the world. Vern kept his perspective, his balance, his sense of himself and life because he always remembered where he was from. Hi, where are you from? I'm Vern Schield from Waverly, Iowa. There's a special gift that God gives to those who know their roots, those who know who they are and remember where they are from. It's the gift of freedom. Freedom to think creatively, beyond the borders, the edges, the limits, the freedom to wander far and wide, knowing always where home is, the freedom to risk and try new things. Vern had the gift, and he wanted to use the gift for the benefit of others. The mind of a genius and the heart of a neighbor. That was Vern. How could he share what he knew and what he had with others? We all know the fruits of his sharing and caring. His congregation, in our community, at the college, through self-help, and far beyond. Vern was a kind and generous spirit. Vern Schield, a genius with an interest in the whole world. A genius who knew who he was and remembered where he was from. A genius with a heart turned towards the interests of others. Round of applause.
I will put together a few words on various members of the family, and Viola's the one that really knows at this level, because now we've moved up to contemporaries, not just kids, but contemporaries. So if you would want to come up and talk to us for quite a bit of time here, let me bring the mic over to you. We've got plenty of time. Number 4, Peter. 1 second.
Okay. All right. These things are true. Some of them would have been told to me by Burr or Will, but some of them I remember. Okay, Ray. He's my second uncle, the loyal one, the steady one, the rock. He was in charge of the family, the whole family, from in 1915 when my mother and dad went to the World's Fair in California. He married Lillian, a city gal from Chicago, right after World War I. He brought her out to Minnesota on a farm, and he called her Babe. Ray of the head this time. I got you, Babe. So Ray was such a good person. Mother said Ray was never really a little kid. And Dad made him work when he was even small. I would do anything for Ray. So one time, there was evidently a well between the barn and the house with a pump. Evidently, a little newborn pig wandered from its mother and fell down the well. Ray, being the most conservative of farmers, was going to get that pig out of that well, period. He told me he was going to, I imagine now, this is what happened. I imagine he said I was going to play a game. He was going to put me in a bucket. And so I could get that pig out of the well. I have no idea how deep the well was, but one can't imagine how horrified my mother must have been when she found out. And all I can remember saying, the pig is wet. Okay, now we go to her. She was my second mother. Her life revolved around music, but it had to be only two kinds, classical or hymns. She taught me to play the piano when I was 4. When I was 3, she said I sang by myself at a Christmas program in church and said, I'll be a sunbeam for Jesus. She always tried to get me to play by note and do scales. I never wanted to do that. When she wasn't around, I would play jazz. I cannot read music to this day. I cannot read music. Merle would work in the fields right along with the men, sharpening grain and picking corn. She's a wonderful seamstress. She made nearly all my dresses. Now, Laura, the school teacher. When we moved from Hayborn, Iowa to Mount Video, Laura was teaching school, so she had to stay behind. She didn't move to Minnesota with us. I don't remember her very well until I was about 12. She brought her husband, Gene Reynolds, from Atlanta, Georgia, to meet her parents and family. About a year after high school, I went to Anderson, Indiana, where Laura and Gene were living. Gene had a small grocery store, and Laura had a job at Anderson College. We all lived in back of this store. Phyllis was a small baby at the time, so Laura hired a college girl to come at the day to take care of Phyllis and Norma. I remember going in for lunch, and one time the college girl had a sandwich with dill pickles in it. Phyllis was in a high chair, so I gave her a taste of that dill pickle. Of course, you can imagine the funny face she made. I used to do that all the time just to see Phyllis's make face. I'm sorry, Phyllis. And so then, anyway, they moved to Muncie, Indiana, and Jane worked at Heinz Food Company, and they were poor. We had to eat a lot of soup. So one time, I happened to have a little bit of extra money. I went over there, and I took them to see the show, The Dead End Kids. That was so popular, and I took the girls. We all went to the theater and Laura laughed so hard, she wet her dress and the seat. And we had to stay in that theater until the lights were almost out. Then I had to walk behind her all the way home. Okay, Vern, he was the one with ears in his head. He was particular about his clothes. He would tell Mother to starch his white shirts very stiff. Every Sunday afternoon, we would nearly always have a family for dinner. Merle would gather us around the piano and sing, each of us to play an instrument. Vern picked the ukulele. Vern, Russell, and Wilbur would sing, and Merle would make any available man join in to sing bass. And Vern started to go with Margie. They had a neighborhood party, and he met her and he asked to take her home. But guess what he did? He stopped by a watermelon patch and picked the melons. That was the story about her. And now Russell, he was the quiet one. He was never involved in fights. He never teased me. Burr told me, though, that he did tease her. He stole her perfume. I think it was Rainwater No. 5. He put it all on his overalls. Laura must have got back on him. So she told Russell, you don't belong to our family. We found you in a ditch. Poor Russell. How devastated he must have been. I believe he went to Mother, and that was the end of that. I lived with Mary and Russell from 1933 to 36. I made $12 a week in a dime store. And I had to pay $6 a week for the board and room. But Russell was a chimp. He was good to me. Okay. I'll say the best part for Wilbur. Okay.
Thank you, Bob. Settle around for that. retired from the Banner Company at age 54, he wasn't done. And there were some people that wished they could be here tonight, and they sent along a few greetings. So I'd like my brother Marshall to stand up and read some greetings from one of the people at Anderson College. Ron Moore was a senior vice president there. My dad was on the executive committee for many years. And between the two of them, they were doing things that a college never should have done, as far as I'm concerned. People would donate things to the college that were not cash, not even securities that were marketable, but they donated a building or a manufacturing company or a fish farm. And the prudent thing to do would be to just sell it and get out of the business. But Wilbur probably said, well, I think the college could make some money if we worked at this a little bit more and nurtured it. So here's the college co-signing, investing money in a fish farm. If this thing had turned sour, I mean, this board member would be history, your financial member would be gone. Wilbur worked at making these things profitable for the college so students could come there and enjoy the fruits of his labor. So, I'd like Marshall to read some words that Ron Moore sent along for Wilbur.
Yeah, Roger, I'm on my survey back too sometime, because one thing I did forget after reading this or mentioning is being younger and growing up in this family is one thing that we really do have is a lot of great role models. Not only just in parents and uncles, but to older cousins and nephews, everybody else, but a lot of great role models. This comes from Ron Moore, Senior Vice President of Anderson, addressed to Wilbur and Eileen Schield. Since the mid-1930s, Wilbur and Eileen had been closely linked to Anderson University. Meeting and then marrying, 1937, meeting and then marrying in 1938, they came from families with long ties to the university and the Church of God. Wilbur's sister Laura was an alumni of the school and served many years as secretary to Dr. John Morrison, first president of Anderson University. Wilbur established a lasting memorial to his sister by establishing the Laura May Schield Reynolds Endowment Fund a few years ago. Wilbur and Eileen have been donors since 1942. Through the years, they have been a part of every significant giving program and project on campus. The primary campus dining room of the old Student Center bears their name, as does a major wing of the Fine Arts Center. They have been recognized by both receiving the university's highest two awards, the Distinguished Heritage Award and the Business and Professional Association's Distinguished Service Award. Wilbur has been further recognized by receiving an honorary Doctor of Laws degree and Trustee Emeritus status. Wilbur has contributed his time and significant service to the university. He retired from the Board of Trustees after 30 years, serving most of that time on the prestigious Executive Committee. Wilbur helped form the Trustees Investment Committee and served on it also until retirement. He volunteered a tremendous amount of additional time and resources helping monitor and direct investment activities ranging from a catfish farm in Mississippi to countless corporate stocks. Even after retirement from the Board of Trustees, he continued to help with the Wood Products Company investment in Mississippi, making countless trips to the company operations. Side note, I think one of those trips he almost got killed. He got hit with a 2x4 and fell down a flight of stairs. As donors, Wilbur and Eileen have always seemed to be in leadership roles. Wilbur was on the university's first major fundraising committee in 1955 and 56 to construct the Charles E. Wilson Library. From this experience, Wilbur was motivated to work with President Morrison to form the Business and Professional Association. He, along with Brother Byrne, had recognized the need for drawing together a group of business and professional people into an organization that could be counted on for annual project support to aid the school in its financial planning and development. This group was formally structured in 1957, and Wilbur served as its first president. Since that time, the organization has generated over $25 million of financial support. From Wilbur and Eileen's days on a campus of 80 students, the university has grown to enrollment in excess of 2,200 students. Beyond the numbers, it is the investment in the lives of over 15,000 graduates that is truly lasting and most important. Wilbur and Eileen, we thank you for the treasure of immeasurable value you have helped to build at Anderson University.
person that had wanted to be here, but this is for family. Bob Byrne, president of Emerson College for many years, sung along the following tape recording. Peter.
So, I send my greetings to all the Schield clan that are gathered in Waverly, Iowa. It's nice to be there and see the gang, but this is not possible. So here's a few things I put on paper about my friends of many years, and I mean many years, Wilbur and Eileen. Tommy Rao, of course, comes to mind. He was a high school buddy of mine, along with Eileen. And we were involved in the Parkway Church of God youth activities together. We went to parties together. We went down to Pendleton swimming together. Some of our activities were spiritual, and others could be described somewhat differently. My father was pastor of the Parkway Church, and at various times before our gang came on the scene, he had been a close friend and counselor to the Schield family children who had come to Anderson. I'm speaking now about Vern, Russell, Laura, and Myrtle. They're all members of my dad's church, and he knew them well. They found their way to what was the Anderson Bible Training School in the 1920s, and we're talking years ago now, to prepare themselves for religious vocations. They were industrious people, self-supporting students, filled with religious zeal, eager to be used of God to restore a broken and divided church to its primitive strength and purity, which was the mission of the Church of God. Now, when Wilbur was the last of the Schield to arrive on the Anderson scene in the early 1930s, the town was in the depths of the Depression, jobs were scarce, the school was not called Anderson College, and it was hanging by a financial thread. Remember that Laura, his sister, was President Morrison's secretary, so Wilbur enjoyed something of an inside track. And it was not long before he was sneaking out the old college truck to make calls on some of the farmers during weekends to gather up potatoes and all kinds of produce to peddle in mom and pop stores in the city. Wilbur had a good eye for business and was bent on finding something that could be bought for a nickel, sold for a dime, and was habit forming. Well, he got close. When I was in high school, I can recall when he purchased his own truck, had a good wholesale business going. So it was about this time we began to see Wilbur and Eileen together. And before long, they were married and building a house on Chestnut Street. Now, no one who lived through the Depression years will ever forget how the college community and the church community pooled their meager resources to see that all of us youngsters had what we needed. We know what it is like to live in community, to be a part of its life, to give and to receive. In the college, the college truck roamed all around the rural churches in northern Indiana, picking up food to keep the students alive. I recall one congregation that donated a truckload of sauerkraut, which sort of permeated the campus with its perfume for a week or two. And though the campus was struggling to keep alive, its president and faculty were living out its Bible mission that proclaimed that learning and faith belong together. Wilbur and Eileen were very much part of this. And so when I returned to Anderson in the fall of 1947 to become the lowly assistant to the president, John Morrison, I might say his health had been failing, and when I asked him what he wanted me to do, he said, well, what he wanted me to do was everything I could to help him finish out his years in office. Well, as I looked around, we needed everything. World War II vets were coming on in large numbers because of the GI Bill. So we turned to people like Wilbur and Eileen to help us. The idea of a gathering of business leaders for support seemed a good idea. came to town. Wilbur and a few others hosted a meeting